السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Dear brothers and sisters, continuing the legacy of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi wa ala nabiyyina as-salatu was-salam and learning from his most beautiful example, Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَأَذِّن فِي النَّاسِ بِالْحَجِّ يأتوك رجالا وعلى كل ضامر يأتين من كل فج عميق. And call people to Hajj. They will come walking and they will come riding from every far corner. Before this call to Hajj, Allah Azza wa Jal commanded Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi wa ala nabiyyina as-salatu was-salam to rebuild the Kaaba with his son Ismail, and they did. And then to clean the space and make it nice for those who will come and visit, whether those who live nearby or visitors from far away. After the construction and the work and the intention and the dua, Allah Azza wa Jal commanded Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam to call people to Hajj. And Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam had a voice that would be similar to our voices. It would reach to a particular distance, and that's it. But how would they come from far, far away places when he didn't have the internet, he didn't have WhatsApp, he didn't have the methods to reach people from far away? This is called tawakkul upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Azza wa Jal commanded him to do what he can, and he did. So for us to understand tawakkul properly, we have to do what we can within our means. He built, he cleansed, he made hospitable and attractive, and then he was commanded to call. He did all of the things that Allah commanded him to do, to the best of his ability. But then Allah Azza wa Jal from there took his voice to every far part of the world for people to hear his call to Hajj. Allah Azza wa Jal from that point onwards took his voice to every far place, and people basically came to Hajj, and ever since they have been. Subhanallah. The point being is that we need to exhaust our efforts, our sincere efforts. We talked about sincerity in Ibrahim alayhi salam when he rebuilt the Kaaba a while back. We need to do the same. Put all of our work, all of our resources, all of our skills. And if you notice the hikmah, it wasn't an individual effort. It was a collective one. He and his son. So we have to work together to make sure that we serve the deen. And when we do that, we call others to this deen. We call others to this deen. By the way, we are responsible to give da'wah. And this word is very misinterpreted. We are responsible to show others in the most beautiful way the truth and this deen, and give them a real, sincere, and honest version of this deen, not a counterfeit one. It is important for us to do that. We are responsible to do that. On the day of judgment, people that ate with you, and spent hours with you and days with you and knew you and were neighbors with you and friends with you, and you never showed them anything about Islam, and you did not tell them the truth about Islam and how there is one Allah Azza wa Jal, one God, and that Muhammad is his final servant and messenger, and the Quran is the final preserved revelation of Allah, and that there is a hellfire, and that there is a paradise, and that we are going to be held accountable before Allah, and then there's a grave, and. If we did not show our friends these things in the most beautiful way, in the wisest and most proper way, right time, right place, right method, right approach, right tone, right dose, but nevertheless we are responsible to do so. If we don't, imagine those friends of ours, Yawm al-Qiyamah, and they stand there and they had no idea of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. But they saw Muhammad and Fatima, and Ya Allah, they knew, they didn't tell me. What are we going to say? They knew, but they didn't tell me. They just smiled in my face and walked away. We cannot be abrasive when we do da'wah. This is a skill, this is a whole methodology, this is a whole way of doing things. But when we learn, we need to learn how to do that. Yet we still are responsible to doing that. If the Sahaba radiallahu anhum had our attitudes, none of us would be Muslim. If the Sahaba radiallahu anhum had our attitude, let me go to my house, my job, and that's it, and I'm not responsible to explain anything to anyone or help anyone learn anything or go out of my way anywhere to help anyone learn about Islam in my interactions. If the Sahaba did that, Islam wouldn't have left Medina. Sham wouldn't be Muslim, Egypt wouldn't be Muslim, Pakistan wouldn't be Muslim, Turkey wouldn't be Muslim, Africa wouldn't be Muslim. But the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, wherever they went, they lived Islam and they were able to also explain Islam. It wasn't just a silent action. No, they lived it. They were the most honest people, the cleanest people. They were the most truthful people whenever they went anywhere. And when people interacted with them, purchased from them, visited their shops, did business with them, ate with them, spent any time with them, they saw a difference. They saw a difference. And when they inquired, they received the truth and learned the truth. When they did that, that's how many people became Muslim. How did Indonesia become Muslim? Indonesia has the largest Muslim population in the world. Not a single battle. How did they become Muslim? The Muslims, mostly from Yemen, when they went to, may Allah give Yemen freedom and prosperity, when they went to these lands, these islands, they did business with them. But people saw a more truthful businessman, a more honest businessman, a more fair businessman, a kinder businessman. Do you know the Prophet ﷺ made dua for people that are easygoing? Easygoing. He said, رَحِمَ اللَّهُ امْرِئًا سَمْحًا إِذَا بَاعَ سَمْحًا إِذَا اشْتَرَى سَمْحًا إِذَا اقْتَضَى. May Allah have mercy on a person who's easygoing when they buy, easygoing when they sell, easygoing when they have a dispute. You know, sometimes you have someone that's just, mashallah, he wants to take the stuff for free and he wants to take on top of it money. And they go and they bargain. You have to be easygoing. And the person that's selling, sometimes they're easygoing, they'll joke with you, or sometimes they're just angry and nasty. Right? The Prophet ﷺ, and some people when they have a dispute, sit down, brother, sister, this is what happened, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they get over, and they fix things and they move on. And sometimes just MashaAllah, they make it the Battle of Badr. We have to learn the attributes that made people embrace Islam, that helped people embrace Islam by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we need to carry that, but also we need to also be cognizant that we are responsible through our behavior, not limited to that, but in addition to our behavior, what we share. And like I said, the right time, the right approach, the right dose, the right person, you have to have hikmah. You can't just go, okay, we're having a corporate meeting. Brothers and sisters, you have to say, La ilaha illallah. You can't do that. Okay? It doesn't work this way. But you have to learn how to, be a da'i. ادعو إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة. Call towards the way of your Lord with wisdom and the most beautiful reminders. We need to learn how to do that. One of the ways is Eid. Eid, Ramadan, and Eid al-Fitr, as well as Eid al-Adha. It's our Eid, right? Let people know it is our Eid, not by just telling them it's our Eid. Take some sweets. Take some food. Take some gifts to your workplace, to your neighbor, to your friends. Wrap it nicely, make it look presentable, and put a sticker on it. Eid. And when you give it to them, or you don't even have to put a sticker on it, you can say, give it to them, say, it's our Eid, it's our Muslim holiday, we just broke fast, kind of like you do Lent, or whatever you fast, and just kind of have just a brief conversation. The conversation will carry itself. Here you go. Enjoy. We are supposed to be kind to our neighbors. Our Prophet taught us to do that. The Prophet ﷺ said, Jibreel continues to remind me to be kind to the neighbor to a point that I thought that he is going to inherit, meaning that person is like a family member. So it is important for us to understand that we have to do our part. And then we need to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us as we do that, as the Sayyidina Ibrahim and Ismail were doing that. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم ربنا واجعلنا مسلمين لك ومن ذريتنا أمة مسلمة لك وأرنا مناسكنا وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم ربنا وابعث فيهم رسولا منهم. And they continued to make this dua, and then eventually he was commanded to call to Hajj, and people started to come to Hajj, and then mashallah, many blessings to this day, because of the sincere effort that Ibrahim and Ismail alayhim as-salam did. And when they called, they had done their part, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought people from different parts of the world, and they continue to go to Hajj every year. And it is important for us to understand that we are responsible to give da'wah. Ibrahim alayhi salam gave da'wah to his father, he gave da'wah to his people, he gave da'wah to the Namrud, he gave da'wah everywhere he was. Ibrahim alayhi salam made da'wah. And we need to learn that responsibility, and we need to make sure that we use the wisdom that Allah has bestowed upon us to figure out how to, inshallah, expose people to the truth in the most proper way, in the most gentle way, but nevertheless, it is our responsibility to do that. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us and keep us guided on the straight path, the path of those whom He has blessed, not of those who've earned His anger, nor of those who've gone astray. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from us. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open our hearts to His guidance. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us learn from the most beautiful examples of the prophets. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to shower upon all of them, and especially upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad, His peace, His mercy, His praise, His compassion. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to relieve the suffering of our brothers and sisters in Gaza, and in Palestine, and in Sham, and in Yemen, and in India, and Burma, Pakistan, Africa, and all over the world. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put out any disputes between Muslims, to put away any fitna. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us and help us guide others towards His way. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to use us to spread the truth. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from us and forgive our shortcomings. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make our spouses and offspring the joy and coolness of our eyes, and to give shifat to those who are sick, and have mercy on the souls of those who have passed away in faith before us. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to provide us with the best of this world and the best of the hereafter, and pardon all of us from the punishment of the hellfire. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Get some rest. Inshallah, tonight we have a full night. Qiyamul Layl is, we have a full night. So we're going to pray Isha, 20 rak'at, then we're going to do Khatm al-Quran, and then we're going to have a short break. Then we have a program that I've put out in the WhatsApp groups, and it will be printed as well and placed. So we have an all-night program, inshallah ta'ala, till Salatul Fajr and the next Khatira as we sit today, inshallah. Then you will go. So get some rest so you're able to continue and function, inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum.